Hey, what's happening out there? This is Halftime Prep Talk. We're here at East Carter's J.P. Coons Field. We've been here already this season. Zach didn't join us though. We got Zack Klemme, Matt Sparks, I'm Aaron Snyder. HTPT is brought to you by Fan and Automotive Family. We got the state tournament coming up, but before we preview that, we have 4 teams, don't we? Before we preview those 4 teams going to the softball and baseball state tournaments, let's recap the region tournaments. And I've got a baseball here. We're not doing game balls, but I wanted to basically call myself out. Ashland coach Scott Ingram hand-delivered a yellow softball because he was tired of seeing my white softball, and I forgot it.
I really want to make sure that the entire blame was on you, because he gave that to me personally at the region tournament and said, please give this to Snyder. We hand-delivered it to you, and then he forgot it.
So before I plunge into deep depression,
he quite literally dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Yes, I quite literally dropped the ball.
You just dropped the ball. It was just the wrong ball.
All right. Let's recap that region tournament. Let's start in Flemingsburg, where the delivery of the softball occurred. But baseball actually happened on the field. Greenup County is representing the 16th region once again. How were they able to do it, Matt?
Pitching, defense is what's carried them all season long. It's amazing to watch them. Timely hits too, of course. It's amazing to watch them play with the pressure that they've had on them all season, with the winning streak. Maybe has got them in gear for a tournament type of scenario. And of course, they just proved what they have done all season.
Now the Musketeers, they overcame a tough game against Rowan County. Defensively, they were a little shaky, but so was Rowan, and that kind of helped them win.
Even going back to the game before that against Boyd, to be a really good team, at some point you got to run into some luck somewhere around the way. The Lions had them on the ropes early in the game, and then they really struggled to locate the strike zone for an inning or two after that. Greenup got back in its rhythm, and Greenup was fine, and then they survived Rowan County. They made some things happen late in that game to take over when they looked like they were in trouble again. And then relatively drama-free region final there against Ashland. But Greenup just did what it does, which is just win. They find out ways to win baseball games.
Boyd County always a tough out in the region tournament, which makes this stat pretty amazing. Greenup County's 4-0 against Boyd County in the region tournament since Greg Logan took over. So the Musketeers have been very impressive. They have 5 titles now under the leadership of Logan for 10 years. Things are going really well for them. Let's shift gears to 15th region baseball, and we're going to have 4 guests on later on. We were here for the all-area photo, so we kind of just pulled them away after the photo, and we had Jordan Blanton, Gage Hughes, the 2 shortstops representing Johnson Central and Greenup County, and Tate Mead and Tristan Downing joining us here in just a little bit. Those are the top 2 arms of a deep pitching staff for both teams. But Johnson Central won the 15th region. They did it in dominant fashion. They beat Lawrence County 12-2 in the final. They actually won each of their games in 5 innings. So very, very impressive. But my question is, Zach, did the 15th region prepare them enough for what they're about to face?
That's a good question. A lot of teams in the 15th region have pretty decent pitching, but not knowing a whole lot about Pike County Central, who they beat in the first round, or Shelby Valley. They just absolutely obliterated Shelby Valley, who was hosting the tournament there in that second round. So Central has been tested over the course of the regular season. You mentioned they played, I think, 8 or 9 extra inning games.
Yes.
But in the postseason, and they had to beat also Paintsville in the first round of that district, which is a pretty tough game. In the postseason, though, they've not been tested nearly as much as has at Greenup County. So they'll have to get back in that mode of having to scrap around and figure out a way to win the game.
It's been pretty interesting. When you look at their stats, you look at Johnson Central's lineup, they don't really jump out at you until you get to Jordan Blanton. Batting .496, and he has 50 RBIs on the season. He hit his 5th home run of the year during the 15th region tournament. To have an athlete like that with a little bit of experience already in the state tournament, and to have a pitcher like Tate Mead with experience in the state tournament, how valuable do you think that could be, Matt?
I think it'd be very valuable. I think, with an athlete like that, maybe one of the best athletes I think we have in this area or coverage area, it's got to give his teammates a lot of confidence. That we've got Jordan Blanton here, we got Tate Mead here, we got a solid pitching staff, not just Tate Mead, to give them a lot of confidence and maybe can carry them in a tournament scenario.
But, and that's not to, discount anything that any of the other guys in the lineup have done. I mean, I said they don't wow you, but it's a very solid lineup from 1 to 9, kind of like Greenup County.
They manufacture runs. Both of these teams, we were talking about this last night, are very similar in a lot of ways. Their pitching staff is the unquestioned depth of, or the strong suit of the team, the depth they have there. They both got pretty good catchers, both got pretty good shortstops. They both are sound defensively for the most part, and they both manufacture runs. They're not going to, granted, hit a lot of home runs earlier in the year, but they've kind of tailed off, regression to the mean, maybe you might say. But they make things happen on the base paths. They manufacture runs. Very similar baseball teams.
Well, we're here in Grayson, so we got to mention East Carter softball, 34-0. What a season they've had. Coach Derek Calhoun and company, they had a celebration in town after they beat Rowan County 2-0 in Owensville last Wednesday. They had the sirens blaring and everything going through town, I believe, on Wednesday night. East Carter softball, impressive fashion, and it starts with somebody in the circle, doesn't it, Matt?
Yeah. I remember last week on our role-playing game, you said it best when you were Montana Fouts. It begins and maybe ends with her. 11 runs that they've given up all season. Just really impressive. And I think maybe her play has maybe made her teammates step up as well. So in the region tournament, Lindsey Holmes came up with some big hits, as well as some of her other teammates. And it was really a fun team to watch.
Montana Fouts gave up 5 hits in 20 innings, all singles.
I mean, that's you can't ask for anything better. You're not going to walk up and strike everybody out, but you know what? They did a lot of that as well, and their infield, we talked about, their defense has not been tested a lot this year, but when they were, they made the plays and they did what they needed to do.
Yeah, Taylor Jackson made a phenomenal play from right field. It was a really sharp single by Cammie Rose from Rowan County, and she came up, scooped it up on one scoop. Crow Hop fired it first, and she was out by a stride. I mean, it was a really impressive play, and it kept the helped keep the shutout intact and helped keep the one-hitter intact as well. So East Carter, they're going to keep on rolling. We'll preview their matchup here in just a little bit. Let's talk about Johnson Central softball. McKaylin Pierce, another top pitcher in the region, in the circle for them. Her father, Christopher Pierce, took over the team 2 weeks before the season, Zach, and still made it to the region tournament and still won the region tournament.
It's just talk about a well-oiled machine. Johnson Central softball has been that as well over the last couple of years. Of course, Pierce was along for the ride as an assistant coach. His daughter is the starting pitcher there, so there's a little bit of familiarity there within that system. But Central, you just always got the vibe they weren't going to win every game, but they were going to win every big game. They keep playing Magoffin County in big games, a very good team out of the 15th region, and their record, I haven't looked up exactly what it is. Their record against Magoffin the last few years is really good, though, and that says something because Magoffin and Lawrence are also there at the top of that region, and Central's had a lot of success against both of those teams.
And Central, a three-peat, so they know what it's been like to be in Owensboro, so that could help them too. You might have heard some horns honking. A lot of the guys just left from the all-area photo. They had a little convention around home plate here. It's always, and Zach, you mentioned this last year, it's always neat to see just the conglomerate of talent come together and how they interact with each other after the season's all over.
It's like you've got teams that are rivals ordinarily on the field, but you usually see an Ashland player talking to a Boyd player and an East player talking to a West player, and Rowland's in there somewhere with all these guys, and Fleming and Lewis are together, and between the lines during the season they're trying to kill each other, but at the end of the day they're all baseball players, and most of them are pretty close. Talking during basketball season with a couple of coaches, social media has kind of caused a lot of that. Everybody's more familiar with each other. They play with each other on summer baseball teams or travel teams. They see each other at things like this. So maybe in the 70s, you got this whole Lakers and Celtics thing where these guys hate each other's guts, but that's not so much the case today, and that's probably for the best, really.
I don't know if that's a fair comparison. Lakers and Celtics just cannot stand each other, and even if you got them off the court, they just can't stand each other. Right. But I think there's a lot of mutual respect there with those guys. I mean, I think that they follow them throughout the season with the social media and follow their games and really respect what they do.
All right, well, let's talk to a few of them. We got Jordan Blanton, Gage Hughes, Tate Mead, and Tristan Downing coming up. All right, here with Johnson Central's Jordan Blanton and Greenup County's Gage Hughes, the two shortstops for the state-bound teams, and also the 16th Region Player of the Year, according to coaches, and the 15th Region Player of the Year, also voted by coaches. So first, Jordan, I want to ask you, Johnson Central 32-9 this season. Obviously, you guys have had a fantastic year. Going back to the state tournament for the first time in a couple seasons. You were there as a freshman as well. How do you sum up this season? You guys have had some really close losses too, so the record could have been even better.
Yeah, I think we've had a great season so far. A couple of games haven't went our way. I believe we've had the lead in every game we played this year. A couple of extra inning losses. We gotta find a way to win those games in the state tournament time. Greenup County's had a great season. 35-1 is pretty insane. But I think we had a great season overall. Just a couple of breaks go our way. We're looking at a lot better record.
just because I'm a jerk, I'm going to ask you about that one, okay? The East Jessamine game, I want to ask you how it affected your team. How did you guys respond to that after, finally losing the game?
I think it motivated us a lot. I mean, it was a tough loss, but I think we needed it too.
And you guys have really responded from that. A really tough game there against Rowan County in the 16th region tournament. You guys were able to survive that. What did it take from your team to pull out that win and then go forward and beat Ashland 9-1?
We just gritted it out. Cam threw one of the best games I've ever seen him throw, and from there, I think we just got rolling.
Yeah. Obviously, we got a couple multi-sport athletes here. I know, Gage, we talked to you back in the basketball season about that, and you said baseball is your favorite. Jordan, what's your favorite? You played football, baseball, and wrestling?
Baseball's definitely my favorite, yeah.
Are you just saying that because it's baseball season?
No, okay. Baseball's definitely my favorite.
Now, I know you picked up an offer, though, for football from Morehead State. So, the future is coming. I mean, I know you're just a junior, but some decisions will probably have to be made. What do you see yourself playing in the future?
Well, I mean, it's a lot easier to get a football scholarship than in baseball, though, first of all. And I mean, I'd love to play baseball in college, but I just have to see what I get offered and see what's there on the table for me and take what's best for me in the future.
A lot of power sitting on this bench, and not from me. We got 8 home runs over here, 5 home runs over here with Jordan Blanton. So, Gage, where's the power come from? And don't say bacon. Greg Logan already said that this year.
I don't know. I'm just trying to hit the ball hard every time I go up.
And you put some good swings on it this year. Have you tweaked your swing at all, stance, or anything like that this season?
No, not really. Maybe closed up a little bit, but that's about it.
Yeah. What's the key going into the state tournament, Jordan, for Johnson Central? 32-9, going in against a good Highlands team that went pretty far last year. Highlands went to the championship game last season.
I think we just have to execute and make the correct plays at all times. Pitch well, don't walk anybody, and make routine plays, and don't try to do too much with ourselves. Don't get overwhelmed with the stage you're at right now. Just play our game.
How much does it help? How valuable is it to have experience already at this stage? You were there last year. You were there 2 years ago in Lexington. How valuable is that?
I think it's huge. I mean, just knowing you get to Whitaker Bank and you're just like, oh, this is a big field. First time you're overwhelmed. And this time I think we'll be more calm. Just know the game. You got to play like every other game and just make the right plays and you'll be fine.
Obviously, you guys did well last time. Knocked off the top team in the state in Tates Creek, and then fell to eventual state champion St. X. St. X is your guys' opponent. What's the key?
I think just stay calm, make the routine plays, and let it come to us.
And, the defense has been solid. You guys have been anchoring that defense at shortstop, both of you all. How do you describe playing shortstop? Why do you embrace it? Why is it so much fun?
I like it because you're one of the leaders and you get a lot of balls hit to you.
What about you, Jordan?
You're pretty much the captain of the infield, and if you can get to it, you pretty much take it. A lot of balls come to shortstop, so your coach has a lot of trust in you. And I just think it's a great position to play, and there's a lot of responsibility, but I like it.
Gage, I want to give you a chance to comment on that. He mentioned talking about the value of being there 2 years ago. You were there last year, and you guys have played a lot of big games throughout this 39-1 season. So how valuable is it to have that experience in big games and also at Whitaker Bank last year where you guys obviously made it to the state semis? Just how valuable is that experience?
Oh, yeah, it's great. No, and we've been there once. We're kind of used to the field and everything, so I think we'll be all right.
All right, Gage, Jordan, thanks a lot, guys. Best of luck this Thursday.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
We're back at J.P. Coons Field at East Carter for HTPT. Right here on my left is Tristan Downing from Greenup County. Here's Tate Mead from Johnson Central. Both of these guys will play in the state tournament this week on Thursday, and both of them also have some experience on the state stage the last couple of years. Tristan, you were not able to pitch as much last year, but you've been there, experienced it last year. How much does last year's experience help you guys as you're getting ready to try to do it again?
Well, we just got to win those first 2 games and hopefully get past the third, unlike last year, and try and win it all this time.
Of course, Tate, you were pitched against Tates Creek there a couple of years ago as a real young guy. What was that experience like going out there as an 8th grader against the #1 team in the state?
You get your nerves going, but it helps you in the situation that we're in now, going in state and stuff.
Yeah, of course, you guys are both talented teams that have been pretty successful over the course of the year. You guys, Johnson Central, ruled everybody in the region tournament. How strong is your guys' offense going right now going into this state tournament?
I believe it's the best we've had all season right now. we're just ready to go.
Yeah. As far as Greenup County is concerned, you guys had a little bit of trouble with Boyd in the first game, and then just a dandy of a game with Rowland in the semifinals, and then took care of business against Ashland. What was that week like for you guys of just kind of as the favorite trying to survive it?
Well, it really motivated us to keep the streak going into state and just keeps hopes high.
No doubt. Of course, both of these teams have very deep pitching rotations that these guys are part of. And Tristan, what's it like to be part of? We've talked about this in the paper a couple of weeks ago, but there's so many different options that you guys have and can all come in and throw strikes and take care of business.
It's unreal because we don't even know who we're throwing on Thursday.
Yeah, talking to Coach Logan a little while ago, he said you might go, and Ryan Lambert, who's come on recently, might go, and Christian Warman, who pitched in the region finals, could go. So there's 3 pretty good options, and all of you bring a little bit something different to the table, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Tate, and kind of that same idea, Johnson Central Coach Hall talked about early in the season that maybe you guys are the deepest pitching staff he's ever had. What's it like to be part of a team that's got so many different options that can come in and get the job done?
It's awesome, man. You know, if you're having a bad day, you got Braxton or Josh to come in and pick you up or something. It's just nice to have.
Yeah, no doubt. You guys, of course, both went to Dodgertown to Vero Beach this spring. Played each other down there. Greenup County won that game as part of a really good start for the Musketeers. But you guys also played the defending state champion West Jessamine, and both of these teams beat West Jessamine down there, the Colts. Tate, what was that experience like going down there and seeing the best team in the state from last year right off the bat?
It was awesome, man. Braxton shut them down over there, beat them 2-0.
Yeah, good experience. And Tristan, kind of the same idea. How much did that help you guys? You were just starting to get rolling early in the year. How much did it help you guys to see them and see that you could beat the best team in the state last year?
It boosted our confidence not only on the offensive side, but defensively too.
Yeah, okay. Both of these teams off to great starts so far, and they look to add to those on Thursday.
Back here on HTPT, we just finished up the interviews. Thank you to Tate Mead and Tristan Downing and Jordan Blanton and Gage Hughes for talking to us, and best of luck to them in the state tournament coming up. Let's talk about the state tournament. It's a different format this year in Lexington, Whitaker Bank Ballpark. It's June 9th through 11th, and wait for it, June 17th and 18th.
Still wait a whole week.
Yeah.
This is different, obviously, and there's been a lot of talk the last couple of years, different ideas of people just kind of trying to shake up the way the state tournament is run. There's talk about classification, talk about going back to a semi-state system, talk about getting away from single elimination. What the KHSAA eventually gave in to agree to do is they push back the semifinals and the finals a week. And some coaches are in favor of this, some coaches are not. 2 coaches that we know are very decisively not in favor of it. Sean Hall and Greg Logan are both against this idea. Just talked to Greg Logan actually a little bit ago on the phone on his way back from Virginia where his grandson was born. Granddaughter, I beg your pardon. Just kind of talking to him about, we've heard in very general fashion that he's against the idea over the course of the year, but just kind of finally got to talk to him on the record about it. And he said, well, really what you're doing is, as far as your pitching is concerned, you're limiting it to your 1 and your 2, your starting pitchers, and then you wait a week and then you come back to your 1 or 2 again. If this is going to be, to paraphrase what he said, if this is going to be a 1 or 2 person sport, then this is basically now bass fishing or doubles tennis. And why would we want this to be like a bass fishing tournament or a doubles tennis tournament? The point he's trying to make is make some sense from that angle. If you're trying to think about, okay, well, Greenup feels like its pitching staff is deep enough. You want to try to exploit that and use that in your favor, and you can't do that if you're only using maybe your very top pitchers against another team that's only having to use its very top pitcher. So certainly an interesting perspective from them.
Yeah. Well, it could make some teams seem like a fish out of water, I guess.
I suppose.
Go back to more fishing jokes. Okay.
We didn't finish that up for the rest of the show.
We've already done that.
That ship has sailed.
You talked about Sean Hall. Yeah, very good. Sean Hall did also express his disagreement with the new format. He said that, basically the same argument. He's got a deep pitching rotation just like Logan does, and he would like to be able to use his 1, 2, and 3, and possibly 4. And if his 1 and 2 fare well in the first 2 games, I don't know if number 3 will get a chance. He's got that. He's going to be a little bit of limbo.
Yeah.
But then again, throughout the course of a game, you have a 7-inning game, and it seems like a longer game in a way, but there in the late innings it seems shorter. But my point about it being longer is you can use all of those guys in relief. Okay, it's not like they have to start games. So if you want to use a Braxton Kelly in relief, you can at any point. And it's just nice to have that luxury too, where, Tate Mead might not have his best outing, and then you can bring him back Saturday if they win, and then he gets to rest. I mean, so yeah, I get their point about having deep pitching rotations, but they also have solid number 1 and 2 guys that I would feel comfortable pitching, on 6 days rest.
I can see their point too, but also too, if you're going to win this whole thing, you're going to have to see a team's best pitcher maybe for 4 straight games. So if you're going to win the state tournament, you're going to have to earn it with this new format.
You are.
And Greg Logan did mention too, we win this thing, he says, then I'll be 100% in favor of it. So, it is what it is. They're going to do what they've done all year and try to make it work and see what happens.
All right. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. Greenup County, their only loss this season was to East Jessamine. Can East Jessamine do that to East Carter? I know it's a different team, but it's the same school. Can East Jessamine softball team hand East Carter their first loss of the season on Thursday in Owensboro?
I already beaten, I believe, 2 16th region teams this year, Ashland and Russell. They came up to that tri-state softball showcase we had a few weeks ago. Good team, deep team. But you know what? I'll say this too. Russell had them on the ropes and played with them there for a little while before East Jessamine came out and was able to be successful in that scenario. So, I don't know how often they see somebody like a Montana Fouts either. So it's not like East Carter's chopped liver exactly. It's just be a matter of, getting them on there, and they've not seen each other. So figure out how the matchups play in their favor.
Good luck scoring in this one. I see it 0-0 in the 7th inning. It might come down to bottom of the 7th base hit to win it, or maybe an error, which East Carter doesn't commit too many. 13 errors in 34 games this year.
Well, when you're facing a Kentucky Gatorade Player of the Year, you probably don't see that, like you said, during the season. We're very tough for them. I think East Jessamine's a very good team, though, and maybe the likes of what East Carter hadn't seen yet this season. I know that they, being 34-0 is a great feat, but maybe some have said maybe their schedule might not be as tough as maybe some others. Now you're going to see exactly how you're going to face when you face a great team like that, and then you got some more down the road too if you're able to advance past that.
Youth really benefits East Carter because they're playing like they have nothing to lose, because all of these girls are back next year. So they don't feel the pressure that you normally would.
Right.
If you're a senior on a 34-0 team, you feel the pressure because this is it. This is your last chance. These girls will be back next year. They're going to try to do the same thing because Montana Fouts is here for 2 more years. So the youth really helps them a lot.
No doubt. It's just one of those things where, whatever they get this year is almost like icing on the cake or just gravy, and those are 2 things you probably don't want to eat at the same time.
No, probably not.
It's just a matter of, you get down there, you get familiar with the surroundings, you figure out these little collapsible fences, and you figure out how to operate those, and you get comfortable with, the restaurants down there and the hotel situation, and then you come in next year and you're ready to take care of business. And that's not saying they're going down there not intending to do it this year, but this is almost like a fact-finding mission, and then next year they go down there, and then a year after that, assuming they're able to come out of this region again, and just really see they come in as an experienced team and ready to try to figure out what they can do.
The Lady Eagles of Johnson Central, they go down, they got to face Madisonville North Hopkins, who is, they're pretty good. They're 33-3.
Yeah, just because of Zach's point too, Central's been down here 3 straight years now, so they're familiar with surroundings. They know what to expect, but they're going to have a very hard test early. Madisonville has 33 wins. They beat McCracken County twice. McCracken County is number 1 in the state. They've only had 2 losses, and it's to that team. I don't understand why they're not number 1. That's beyond me.
Paging the Softball Coaches Association.
But that is a very tough test to start a tournament with.
Wow. Well, Round County coach Larry Sloan had some great words about Montana Fouts. He's been around a long time, guys. I don't want to give away his age, but he's been around a long time. 22 years he's been coaching. And, he said he's never seen the likes of Montana Fouts. He's never seen a pitcher that good. So we'll see how she does on the state stage. It'll be fun to see. Lexington, let's go back there real quick. Greenup County goes up against St. X. Okay, St. X is a team that has a lot of talent. They got 2 pitchers that are going to Louisville, so they have a choice. They can go with a lefty or a righty. I was talking to Brody Shoup today. He said they faced the righty last year, so they may go with the lefty this year. Who knows? Coach Porter has a lot of options at St. X. St. X is 2 years removed from a state title.
And they've won, until last year, they had won 4 straight region titles. And talking to Coach Porter on the phone on Sunday, it's kind of one of those deals where it really doesn't matter who you come out of that 6th region or that 7th region or that 11th region. You're pretty stout no matter who you are. Now, St. X wasn't the favorite. Trinity was probably the favorite there. Trinity beat St. X 10-0 late in the regular season. But Coach Porter talked about, we got on the bus the next day. We went to Paducah. We played McCracken County. We played Henderson County. We played well against pretty good teams. We just kind of got back on the horse. They didn't have to play Trinity in the region tournament, but they were able to get through that. And you know what? They had 3 pitchers throw complete game shutouts in that region tournament, which is just remarkable to think about. So they like Greenup. Their depth in their pitching staff is probably their strength, but they probably have a little bit more talent at the top of that. They didn't assemble their pitching staff quite the same way Greenup does. It's not quite the same personnel and style, but if you're going to be successful in a format like this, regardless of whether you play 4 games in 6 days or 4 games in 2 weeks, then you got to have the pitching, and they certainly do.
Greenup County, a loose, relaxed group that really translates well to these big games.
Yeah, we usually talk about the St. X pitching, Zach. 19 scoreless innings in the region tournament, three shutouts, very tough to hit on. But then, of course, Greenup County can bolster our big lineup that they maybe had not seen before either. I tell you, there are 9 teams in the final top 20 poll in this tournament. 7 of them are in the top half of the bracket.
Wow,
it's a tough. The last 2 state champions are up there.
Right.
It's Highlands is in there too. They beat Beechwood in the region final.
And runner-up last year.
Runner-up last year. So, and Johnson Central, of course. It's I know it was the state tournament. I know that it's going to be a lower bracket from top to bottom, but that top half is very tough.
We said before the region tournament, if Greenup was going to win it, they were going to have to earn it. That was true in the region, and it's going to be true again in the state tournament.
If Tristan Downing has a tough start, if he starts, they can quickly go to Ryan Lambert, who did extremely well throughout this postseason. So Logan also has some quality options.
No doubt.
Yeah.
All right, now let's Johnson Central. You touched on them. They play Highlands. Highlands is 23-17, but they beat Beechwood. They earned it. They earned their way here. They obviously did a great job last year getting to the state finals, losing to West Jessamine. Jody Hamilton, by the way, used to coach at Boyd County and Raceland. He's going for his 900th career win in the first round against Bowling Green. West Jessamine could meet Greenup in the second round, but we'll get to that later. Johnson Central Highlands. Can the Golden Eagles advance to the second round just like they did 2 years ago?
I think they have to feel decent about that draw because the 9th region, again, is one of those regions. You're going to have a decent team whoever comes out of that. But the top 2 teams in that region were probably Ryle and Beechwood in some order at the top there, and both of them got knocked out. Of course, it was Highlands that knocked Beechwood out. Beechwood got Highlands pretty good in the regular season, and then the Bluebirds come back and take care of business there. But I think they lost from what we've heard. They're very senior heavy last year. Of course, you covered them against Greenup County in the region in the state tournament last year. But as far as Highlands, it's not quite the same team that did that. They have some of the same personnel, the same coach, obviously. So they're going to be familiar with the procedure and the atmosphere and the pressure and all that. But I think Central has to feel relatively decent, at least, about the draw.
Yeah, I do too.
Also, I forgot about McCracken County too. In that half
yeah.
of Johnson Central, there's got quite a spring sports program in McCracken County.
Yeah.
Both softball and baseball are in the top 2 in the state, and McCracken now is holding the current longest winning streak in Kentucky with 22 games.
Yeah.
So McCracken comes in with a lot of confidence, and then they're rolling too.
Yeah, combined, the softball teams and baseball teams from McCracken are 71-7 this spring. So, all right, guys. I think that's going to wrap up our show here at East Carter. We had the all-area photos, so those stories will be coming. All-area softball is also this week, so look for the all-area photo or all-area photos. Yeah, I see Kevin Goldie back there, and I'm like, I gotta mention the photos as much as possible, right? All area stories and photos. Look for those in the Daily Independent. Also look for coverage of the state tournament coming up this weekend. Zack Klemme, Matthew Sparks. I'm Aaron Snyder. HTPT brought to you by Fan and Automotive Family. I don't have anything to throw, guys. Give me that baseball. Just kidding. I'll just throw air. See you next time.